Let's welcome in our guy, Brett Goode, who knows a little thing or two about golf. Brett, we were just talking about the Masters a little bit. Do you have a favorite tradition that accompanies this great tournament in Augusta, Georgia?
I just love watching it, and it's so exciting because then you get out on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't played much golf this week, but had a little nice, afternoon. Got out and hit some balls yesterday, and it's just that time of year, and it kind of brings it in and gets you excited for golf again.
Now, you playing at Pinnacle? Is that what you told me? I can't remember what course you're playing up there now that you're in Northwest Arkansas.
I am playing at Pinnacle, and we got little kids lesson this afternoon, little junior golf, so. We're trying to get my son involved in it too.
Yeah. So I haven't even touched a club yet this year. I think I know where they're at in my house. That tells me and golf need to talk about our relationship. But I can promise you, after watching some golf for the next 4 days, I'm going to have the itch. I'm going to be finding them golf clubs. That's what this week does for me. Is I hadn't had a chance to pick a club up yet, but after this week, I'll be thinking I can play a little bit.
And that's the way everybody is. I mean, it's really it's springtime. The weather's getting nicer. It's sunshine. And then you have this to go off of, and everybody relates to the Masters. People may not watch, and I don't watch a ton of golf week in and week out. I kind of keep up with it, but you're paying attention to the majors, and the Masters is just huge because we all know it's at Augusta, and everybody wants to go, and it's so magical.
Well, here's the thing today, and you guys, I don't know if you can. When I was a kid, you didn't. There was no going to a practice round. There was no lottery for practice round tickets. There was no even viewing the front nine on TV. And it was far more exclusive than it is today. Today they have a women's amateur tournament there. They have the drive, chip, and putt, and there's a lottery which you can get. If you're fortunate enough, get tickets to go to a practice round. Brett, there's a secondary ticket market. A lot more people in today's time have gotten to at least see the course as a patron for a practice round, which I think is better than a competitive round since you can take a camera with you. Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people gotten to see it now. When 30, 40 years ago, it was very much closed gate there.
That's right, and that's great for the game of golf. I mean, we've talked about the one they have out in Phoenix, the Waste Management, where you're getting the crowd out there, and that's what this is with the Masters. It's so magical. People get to go to the practice round. You spend all day with your camera, like you said, and the other thing is, you get you a pimento cheese sandwich, get you a beer, and it's all cheap. It's all cheap prices. They're not trying to gouge you on that, and trying to really take advantage of you. So that's the great thing is they're really growing the sport. And golf right now needs all the help it can get. That's
so you can spend $1,000 in the gift shop, because that's easy to do. Because you want one of everything when you go to the gift shop there, which is the first thing you do. So you don't have any money left for concessions. They got to be cheap.
Well, they're smart that way, because you sit there and say, well, I'm getting a good deal on this beer here. It's cheap. I get a sandwich, and then all of a sudden you spend $1,000 in the gift shop. And you
another
don't think
$90 shirt, So, I need another umbrella. I only had 3 of those. I need another umbrella. So, another bag tag, another ball marker, another divot tool. You just get one of...
Yeah, get you another Masters flag. I mean, go down the list of everything everybody has, and, you can get some autographs. And that's the other thing is, for kids, and you go to the Par 3 Challenge, and, everybody's active, and they autograph things, and they're just really trying to grow the sport, and it's great for golf, and it's great for everybody who gets to go out there and visit.
You know how we get these Facebook memories and things pop up? A buddy of mine sent me, some video that Facebook or whatever puts together. 14 years ago yesterday, I was at Augusta National on a Tuesday practice round. It was a Tuesday. Yeah, it was a Tuesday practice round, and we had a great time. He sent me a video of that, and I went down in my basement yesterday. I've got a deal. We'd put a photo collage or whatever up on the wall, and took one of them bag tags we bought and made a deal that we got hung up on the wall there. And you can't. It's hard to describe until you. Have you been there, Brett?
I have not got the opportunity to go there.
Yeah,
yet,
I mean, just TV, even high def TV, can't do justice to the beauty of the course, but also just the rise and the fall and the slope. And even if you're not a golf fan, I had someone just text and say, hey, this tournament gets me in the mood to plant azaleas. Just my mother will watch this weekend because of the beauty of just the landscaping and the azaleas and how pristine the place is.
And that's what I've always heard, just the landscape and everything. I think that's what's impressive about what's going on with Tiger. If he can actually make the cut and still competitive, because he talked about he feels like he has a chance to win, and I don't think that he would ever play if he didn't feel that way. And that's impressive coming off the car wreck he had and being able to walk those hills and do it consistently. And that's for all those guys. I mean, we ride in a golf cart and drive around and do everything, but all these professionals that actually make low scores and they're walking all these hills. It's a unique thing that they're able to do that week in and week out.
I would walk more if the beer cooler wasn't so heavy. That's the problem, is when you walk, who's going to carry the beer cooler,
Well, it weighs you down.
It does. It's inconvenient.
And you're like, well, can I pee next to the tree or do I have to go to the bathroom? It's just hard.
Yeah, it's just easier to ride. So
that is the unknown question amongst golf, because I do my best to make it to the halfway house, but I think it's just at this point the nature out there. You can just stop and do it as long as there's a tree.
Just watering the course.
Yeah, just watering the course.
Yeah, there's trees there, but then you got houses. Some people, and you're like, well, somebody looking out that window, you can't really tell. So, you got strategic planning.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Brett, I want to ask you a couple football questions. When you think back to your scrimmages that you had while you were on campus at Arkansas, Arkansas's got one this Saturday, and they've got kind of the bigger one. It's not the red-white game because they're doing away with that, but kind of the bigger one next week. What do you remember about those scrimmages? Were they fun? Did you care about them? Did you feel like you gained a lot during spring? I know we've talked spring ball to this point. What do you remember about the scrimmages themselves?
You enjoy it, and they've always, for years, they tried to make the game feel like a game, but the guys know it's a practice. It's a glorified bigger practice. People are there, but you love competition, and so you're still going out there and you're trying to compete and you're trying to get better. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to get through it and learn from it, and also you want to go out there and show what you've trained for this off season, what everything that is kind of working out the way that you wanted it to do, and all the things that you're trying to grow as an individual athlete, that you're making those next steps moving forward into the summer and then get into fall camp, and that's really what it's about. And these guys so far, from everything I've read, is it's all about competing and trying to get better, which is what you want to see.
Brett, speaking of competition, there wasn't much competition last night between Arkansas and UCA. 21-9 was the deficit. I know you never got to play an in-state school, but it's kind of changed. The guardsman changed. Frank Broyles was your athletics director, and we've seen a change in the guard since then, a change in philosophy. Looking at what the football team gets to compete in 2025 against Arkansas State, baseball playing UCA, Little Rock, basketball team playing some in-state schools, is that something you wish you would have gotten to do, or do you even care at this point?
I don't think the competition level is the same. Yes, I think every now and then a football team can get over, an in-state team could get over Arkansas. But consistently, I don't think that can happen. I think you on the baseball side that you can see those games being a little bit more competitive sometimes, because that even when we get to the College World Series, you see a lot of smaller schools. They can play some small ball and they get some fifth-year seniors. They're able to make a lot more moves than you are when it comes to a 90-man roster on a football team and the physicality that comes from it. So it'll be interesting to see when our football team actually takes on Arkansas State and see how close we are matched up. But the way that our football team is growing right now, I don't see that competition going to be there, but we'll see here in a couple of years when it actually happens.
We were talking earlier in the show about the NFL draft coming up in April. Had someone on from Dallas that we were talking some Treylon Burks. As you hear the news, and there's just more conversation about him. He had some visits with Dallas this week and some of their in-house visits. Where do you think he lands? Because Ty's been bringing up he should go to the Packers, which is ahead of them in the draft order. The Cowboys seem interested. What's the poker game going on right here as we get closer and closer to the draft with Treylon Burks?
It's such an interesting pick, and obviously I'd love for him to be able to go to the Packers. I think the Cowboys would be a good fit. For him to have the success, he's going to be going somewhere with a good quarterback too. I mean, it's not necessarily going to just getting the most amount of money that you can get. You want to go to a good quarterback that's going to feed you the ball and help you grow. And so obviously, I can see with Aaron for a couple of years, because they're out of Devontae's in Las Vegas now, and they've lost another receiver to Kansas City. So they're kind of getting down there. So they've got to make some drafts this year, and they've always been draft and develop. Cowboys need a guy. So you want to go somewhere that you're needed, but then where you can have a good quarterback. So you're not going to go wrong falling in the draft, because all those teams typically were in the playoffs and had a good season last year.
Is there a team or a coaching staff or a quarterback situation? Is there something you think is tailor-made for Treylon that you look at and you say, boy, I hope he goes here. He can be maybe more successful in this situation. Is there one franchise that maybe stands out to you above the others in that regard?
Well, I mean, honestly, not to be just all with the Packers. You know, the Packers have had a good running game. You know, they need depth there at receiver, which they don't have. So if you can have that balance with a good quarterback, you go to the Bills, Josh Allen, New England. You know what Coach Belichick has done in developing players there. You don't want to go to a dysfunctional team. That's the issue of, you know, yeah, you might make a couple more $1 million, which seems great, but you know, you might be out of the league a lot faster, and so then you're not able to make a little bit more. So. You know, you look at the teams that have had some issues, or the Dolphins, they fired a coach and they had all their offseason issues. Is that somewhere that you want to go? You know, or the Cowboys, where, you know, they're trying to make that next step. You know, can we get to actually winning in the playoffs and get to another Super Bowl? You know, those teams that want to win and strive to, you know, to try and get to that next Super Bowl, those are good teams. Cincinnati, you know, he's not going to fall, I wouldn't think, to that late. But that's another one that if he falls, you know, there's going to be some teams making some moves and some trades there to try and pick him up.
Who wins the Masters?
Oh, that's such a tough one. You know, I'm a long shot guy, but you know, I'd love to see Tiger do it just because of the memories of seeing Tiger, what he did a few years ago, and it brings so much. You know, we have always grown with Tiger around him and how the sport has grown so much. I'd love to see Jordan Spieth, you know, actually finally get over the hump, but he just hadn't been able to do it. And so you want to see one of these guys that we've kind of grown to love as older guys like Bubba Watson or, you know, Tiger, or one of these guys, because the crowd's involved and they get around it, and I think that makes for better TV.
All right, last week about this time brought some storms to northwest Arkansas, and in Springdale there were some damaging tornadoes that were there. Makes you think about your property and casualty insurance, and hey, is your insurance company standing behind you? Is your agent there for you? Brett, that's part of the services you provide with Henderson Phillips. So if someone's, you know, even if they didn't have damage from the storm, but they're thinking about their coverage, now is a great time to call you to review everything they have and what you can do for them.
That's right. And, you know, obviously the cost of building has gone up, and that was a tornado that happened last week. Last night we had a little bit of hail. I mean, that's just kind of this time of year with the weather. You want to make sure that you're protected. Even on the auto, you want to make sure that there's certain days it's a full coverage day that you need to be out driving around. So, you know, doing that on top of the employee benefits, it's just it's a busy time of year, but a fun time. And
you bring up a good point with building costs on the rise, making sure you're insured for enough. It's sometimes surprising how little money it really is to raise the value of your policies.
It is. And then, you know, cheap insurance is not always the best insurance, and you want to make sure that you're covered on all aspects, and in case something happens, because you don't need it until you do, and then you want to make sure that you're protected.
651-2292, that's Brett's number. You can call him direct and talk some golf, talk some football, talk some insurance and employee benefits as well. 651-2292, Brett Goode with Henderson Phillips. Enjoy the golf. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
All right.
Finally here, the top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games or the national championship? Head over to betonline.ag on your desktop or your mobile device and sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.